Hey guys, we got another package delivery today from Snapmaker this time. We're going to go ahead and unbox that and show you what's inside and what's included. So we have this open here, and there are a lot of pieces. It comes in this plastic that we see here. This is the Snapmaker U1. This is the Snapmaker's version with a tool head changing 3D printer. So instead of using something like the Bamboo Labs A&S, this actually changes the tool head instead of just the changing the filaments all the time. Here we have our quick start guide that we have here. Take a look at this and see what it is. Safety guidelines are in there also. So we'll go ahead and take a look at our quick start guide. Wow, lots of very sharp images in here. Full color, kind of glossy type. It's in multiple languages. So we'll go ahead and just kind of follow all of this once we get all of the unboxing done and all of the pieces out. We'll put that together. Everything appears to be like in this plastic bag looking thing here. It uses a lot of tape that we're seeing here, so we'll go ahead and we'll cut that. Be careful if you're using knife or scissors. This is it looks like the tape with those fibers in there, so it can be very strong. So just go ahead and get that out of the way. So this was the one that was on the Kickstarter a couple months ago. I got to tell you, they've really done a really good job of keeping everybody up to date with everything and everything that's going on. So this is the first box that we have here. In this box is some filament. It looks like the power cord. So it comes with small spools of filament. We have black, yellow, white, and red. It looks like the power cord is in here also. So they put that in there. And we'll set that to the side until we actually need that. The next piece here, we've got some of these foam blocks that all these companies like to use and everything to make sure that nothing really moves around. I got to tell you, this is packed fairly well in here. Lots of these foam blocks and everything. So we've got more. That's the top of the. Looks like the top of the printer there. That's what we're looking at there. Kind of break this open here and see what we got going on here. More tape. A lot of tape in here. Honestly, I think that I'm going to have to get somebody to help me to take this out of the box. Okay, once you have it out of the box, and we've taken off the top on this, it comes with a cardboard top that is just taped on there. So we took that tape off and took the cardboard top off, and there wasn't anything in there. Again, they really like to use this fiber reinforced tape that we see here. So we have to peel this all off. I don't mind it. I would rather have too much than too little. It appears to keep everything in space, so it's not actually moving around or anything like that. It seems to be packaged fairly well, and we'll go ahead and there's some cardboard on the bottom here. The unit itself is not all that heavy, except for the back. The back is a little bit heavy. So if you're doing this and moving it around, just be aware that it's a little back heavy with everything and all of that. Oops. We got to peel off this one extra piece of tape down here at the bottom. So we'll do that. It helps if you have fingernails too. I just cut my fingernails, so it makes it a little bit more difficult to do. We can now open up our door here, and with inside we have some more items that are included. So we're going to pull that out. We'll take a look inside this box, see what we got. Again, more tape. So we'll take this tape off here. We'll see what's inside this box here. More foam. And within this box is another box. And this is the, what are these? This is, oh, this looks like the tools and where the filament guides will go for the tool changers, to go to each one of the tool changers. We have our hot end, which is right here. We have some grease, some thermal grease as well. Some snips. It looks like a cleaner is in here. There is a wiping cloth. We have a steel wired brush is in there. Also, we've got some screws that are in here. We have, I don't know what that is. I'm sure we'll find out. We have some more screws and another one of those. We have actually 4 of those pieces that I said I didn't know what it was. I bet you this has something to do with whenever we go and install the heads themselves. So we have that, and then what else we have within this box is the actual tool heads themselves. So these are oops, these aren't tool heads. These are the pieces that actually fit the filament rolls. So these will, you just put your filament rolls on here once we get those installed. And we can see all of that. There's some other things in here. Here's a poop tray. Notice it's not very big. That's the nice thing about these that change the actual tool head. It reduces the amount of waste or filament poop that you would get with these that change the actual filaments, as opposed to something like the AMS or something like that. So we'll take a look at what all of these are. Take a look to see if there's stuff underneath. There we go. There's stuff up underneath here as well. If we take a look here, these are the actual tool heads in this custom foam. So we can see here, these are the actual tool heads that it's going to use to change in and out. And each one comes with its own already pre-installed nozzle here. And instead of swapping out the filaments, it will actually go and swap out the actual nozzle for each one of the colors, which is really nice. This is a rather newer idea for the for the home space. There is a foam block in the top here also, so you want to make sure that you remove that. It looks like that there are some screws here that we need to remove, and there is a package of desiccant. This one is quite hard, so maybe it's already been desiccated. So we'll go ahead and just put that over there into the garbage can. Again, there are 2 pieces of tape in the back here. You want to make sure that you remove those. There we go. We'll go ahead and just peel those off right there. And this is where, once we get these pieces off, then we can go ahead and start reading the actual booklet and see what we need to do first, right? Because we want to make sure that we're doing this in the right order and that we're not just jumping ahead. Even though a lot of times we kind of know what we want to do, there should be an order to this. And we want to make sure that we're following that order that they give us within this quick start guide. And again, this quick start guide, it explains exactly, what all the pieces are, what you should have, what they are, and what they are used for. There's some symbols here: warning, caution, tips, explanation, and orientation, so that you can very quickly see, here's a follow the instructions below the video tutorial. So there is even a video if you want to do that. You want to make sure it's on a flat surface or workbench. Open them up, lift out the machine, which we've already done. We've taken all of the foam off of those, and we have. I didn't show you this, but there was on the right hand side of this, right back here, is a piece of tape, and that holds in the. There's a connector over here, and I'll show you that later whenever we get there. I'll show you a close up of that whenever we get to that point. But that's what's going to connect your holders here to make sure that it's pulling the right filament that we have assigned. Remove the top cover. Again, that's just some cardboard there that they have taped down to keep everything in place. And we've removed that block there. Peel off the sticky tape, and that's indicated. Those two there, we've already done that. We've removed that box. We've taken that out over there. There's supposed to be a hex key in here, which should be in here. Yep, right here. We have our hex key right here, and apparently we're going to be using that. If you have your own hex key, I would recommend you use those because these generally are not that easy to use. They're generally small and things like that. Here we go. Remove the 3 screws as illustrated, which are here, here, and here, and that is inside of the unit itself. And there are actually some arrows pointing to where we need to remove those. So we're going to go ahead and do that. We'll go ahead and take our. So if we look here on the inside, we did a screw there. We undid the screw back there, right there, and then these right here also. And those are the ones those are the 3 that we've done so far. So the next thing that we have to do, as you can see here in our booklet, is to definitely undo those 3 there, as well as the 3 that are back there. So once you get those out, these little plastic blocks will come out as well. There are 2 of them, one for the front and one for the back. Go ahead and take those and remove them, and then we can move on to the next step, which will be undo the tape on the PEI coated base plate that we have here that it comes with. It's just a standard base plate that you get with a lot of other 3D printers. It is PEI coated, so that just makes it easier. So the stuff will come off once your temperature drops here, and it is flexible, which is nice because then tape on there. Take that off. But it's nice because if your print does stick a little bit, you just take this out with the print on it and pop it, and it should pop right off. Once we get that done, we want to make sure that we're getting the rest of this black foam out of there. There's some in the back, and then there's some in the front, and you've got to kind of peel this off. It's stuck up underneath our build plate here, so we got to make sure that we're removing those pieces. While you're at it, go ahead and remove all of the tape also. Make sure that you're getting all of that off. This should just peel off, and this, you can just kind of pull it out because it is up underneath that base plate. There are 3 pieces. There's 3 in the front and 3 in the back. So you want to make sure that you're getting all of them off. So you want to make sure that you've gotten 6 pieces of this tape off of the base plate, so that we can make sure that none of that is going to impede anything that we're doing. Inside here in the front right corner is where the camera resides. So what we're going to do is we are going to, there's a piece of protective film that we have to take off. There is a little bit of a blue, and if you have big fingers like me, you might want to get a piece of tweezers or a pair of tweezers here in order to get that. But it's just a little tiny piece of plastic, and you can see there it's got a little blue pull thing that you can use. That just covers up the camera lens to make sure that it doesn't get scratched or damaged or anything like that. At this point, we can go ahead, we can take off this plastic here. So it's got a little bit of some sticky tack there. We can just take and pull that off, and take that cover off of the front door. That's the easy part, right? The next thing that we can do is there is also some stick, kind of clean film. We can just go ahead and take that off the front and the back part of the door. And now that is done, and we don't have to worry about that anymore. Now comes the front, the fun part. What we're going to do here is we're actually going to install all of the, the filament feeders and things like that. And again, this tells you exactly what this stuff looks like. So whenever we take a look at this, we have two filament feeders, right? And you can see that in the picture there that they're black and white. So we can just pull them off of our materials box that we have here. You can see that we have, the 1 and the 2. So there's the 1 and the 2. And we're going to fit them towards the rear, and they just snap in and hook into those cables that we have back here on either side. Let me give you guys a kind of a close-up here of what that looks like. So whenever we're talking about this, you can see this is the cable I'm talking about. So this is where those feeders will fit in. There's one on each side here, and we'll come down here. There's one right there. I've got to take the tape off of that one, but that's where the other one lives. So I'm going to move this out of the way a little bit. So what we're going to do is on the left side, and this is even marked left, right? So we're going to go on the left side over here, close this door, and we are going to take and we're going to hook this up. Now these will just hook in. There's these little tabs here. As you can see, they will just hook in there. We have to make sure that we get the plug in, and that just goes right there. That just plugs in. Fairly simple plug and play type of arrangement there. You just take and plug those in, making sure that you're going the right way. It won't plug in unless it is the right way. So we always know that it's the actual way that we're plugging this in. White goes up front and the black goes in the back whenever we do it. So they just slide in and then snap in on either side. We do have 2 of them because we have this will feed 4 different spools. So we can now take the other one and take this. They do pull out just a little bit, so we can make sure that we're doing this correctly. Go. And again, they just snap in here. And then again, the white goes in the front and the black goes in the back. There we go. And they stick out like little ears here on the back and on the sides. The next thing that we need to do is insert the filament tubes into tool head 1 and tool head 2. That's the one over there. And again, those are labeled. And as you can see here, we have 3 and 4 on this particular side. So there are some the filament tubes that are here. I believe those are the ones that are in our kit over here. So we can go ahead and just put them in the back. They what you do is on the backs of these, they have the typical little clamp that will go. Now there are long ones and there are short ones. So the short ones are what you're going to use for the tool head up into the into each one of the tools. Now these do have little zip ties on them, so we're going to have to go ahead and clip those. Be careful that you're not going to cut the actual tubes themselves. There we go. Now there's two of the clips here, one on each end, just so they don't get all over the place whenever they're in the box. Pretty well packaged. So what we're going to do is we'll take 2 of these. We'll go ahead and I'm going to turn this just a little bit so you guys can kind of see what we're doing here. I'm not going to turn around completely, but there are kind of our standard types of things. You just take it and you just shove it into the little hole and then make sure that your corresponding number, I have number 2, corresponds with number 2 over here, and we can just take and put that up in there also. We can take our next one that we have over here. This is number 1. Doesn't matter which order you put it in, if you do the machine first or if you do the feeder first. You want to be careful. These are a little bit thin, I guess would be the word. These tubes here are a little bit thin, so it is easy to kink them. You want to make sure that you are not pushing too hard to actually kink these too much. And we can go ahead and, there we go, put those in. Give them a little tug down to make sure that they're in there securely. And again, make sure that you're utilizing the correct number. You're feeding into the correct number. So your odd number 1 and 3 will be on the top, and then 2 and 4 will be on the bottom. So your tubes should correspond with 1 and 2, which is 1 and 2. Then on the other side, we'll have 3 and 4, 3 and 4. And we want to make sure that those are corresponding to the right numbers so that our filaments will feed correctly with the correct color whenever we get to that point. Now that we've done that, we can go ahead and we can install the filament holders. These are the ones that were in here, and they look like this. These are our actual filament holders. These are plastic. They do have a number on them so that you know which one goes to which piece, and these will correspond just like the numbers here did for the feeder. So 3 will be up at the top, 4 will be at the bottom. And again, on this side, 1 will be at the top, 2 will be on the bottom whenever we install these. All that we're going to do is we're going to take these and we're going to snap them into place. You can see here there's little clips that are right here. There's our little clips that are right there. Those will just go in and snap into place on the side. So we can just take and turn these around till we get to the right place that we need to be. It helps if you can, kind of see where those clips are. Is you want them kind of left or horizontal. So these should line up this way. Whenever you put it in, don't put it in this way because the holes aren't there. They should go this way. Maybe if I do it that way, that'll be a little bit better. You can see right here are my clips. So I want to make sure that those are in there. Just give it a good snap in there. You do want to be a little bit careful. This is plastic. It is some ABS type plastic. I mean, it's not flimsy plastic, but just be a little bit careful. Make sure that you're lining those holes up with the tabs that are on those tool holders that we have there. If you need to remove the filament holder, you can see here they tell you how to do that. You can just go ahead and push in and kind of just wiggle it out a little bit, kind of tilt it sideways there that we have going on. So it would be, again, 1 at the top, 2 at the bottom, 3 at the top, 4 at the bottom. And that's going to correspond to the numbers that you see on that, on those feeder heads. So next we're going to take the tool head swapper, which is this right here, and move it to the front because I have a feeling that we're going to be installing the tool heads here momentarily. But the first thing that we have to do is we have to install the waste collector or the filament poop collector, right? And that goes right in here underneath the underneath where the tool heads are going to go. That's actually going to slide in. Now, you can see that there's, these little lips that are right here on here. There's one on each side. So you want to make sure that you are sliding them in. There's little brackets in there. So we can just slide that in. So whenever you're doing this, I'm going to show you something here. there's this little channel right here that you can see on here. I don't know if you can see it. There we go. There's this little channel. This goes in the back. So your flat side is actually going to go in the front. So let's go ahead and just install that. There we go. Oops, if you get it in there. All right. And that sits there fairly easy. It goes in really easy, just installing that. It just slides right in. There will be one of your tool heads that has a plastic over it. And it says, remove this label only when instructed. This tool head requires a different installation process. So this is one of our main ones, as opposed to the other ones that look like this. They don't have the plastic. The little, if you can see that, there's a little silver bar there. It should be all the way over to the right. So we're going to install this first one first. And it says, install the label tool head first, remove the label. So we're going to go ahead and remove this label. And again, if you have fingernails or if you have something, it makes it a little bit easier to remove these. They're stuck on there fairly well, too. We can go ahead and just put that over there. And then we have to ensure the slider is positioned on the leftmost location. The red marker on the slide should be visible. And there is no red marker on the slide. If you can see here, right here, there's no red marker. And we want it to look like this one here. See how the red is all the way over there? Right there. So that's what we want to do. If it's not, we can use the included hex key to adjust it. And I'm assuming this is the small hex key that we want to adjust this particular one. And what it says is to just go ahead and just kind of slide it over to the left. So we can just take this and slide this all the way over to the left. I mean, that was really easy. I mean, there's no resistance here. But we want to make sure that it's all the way over to the left. And now we have our, right here, we have the red showing that we can do. Now that we have that, we can go ahead and move on to the next step, in which we are going to put it in, align and insert the dowel rod sequentially into the rear and side holes. So what we're looking at here is this. This is where this metal dowel will actually go. And it'll flip this back over to the right. So now our red is no longer available that we had put over there. So we're doing good so far. Proceed to install the remaining tool head. The slider should be positioned in the rightmost location. So with these, remember that first one, we had to move it to the left with those red markers showing. This one, this has to be over to the right, and these have to be showing. So again, we're going to do the same thing. We're just going to take this and we're going to kind of slide this on here. We're going to find that hole right there, and it's going to slide in over here, and these are going to be on the right this time. There we go. That's not in there yet. Let's see what we're doing here. There we go. So whenever you do this, you're going to put this in. You're going to find the hole. It's the only one that's available. And then you are going to bring it over to the side. This is kind of hard for you guys to see. Over to the left a little bit, and then bring it over to the right, and it'll snap in place. I think there's probably magnets in there. We're going to go ahead and do these for the final two that we have here. This one already came out, so that one's already on the already there. So we can go ahead and again we can install this. These are all going to be done the same way. So we can move this and then move it over to the right. Here on the sides, there's little pins right here, and that's what's there's two of them, and that's what's hooking into the left side here, except for that very first one that hooked into the right. So now that we have all those installed, that was fairly painless, except trying to understand, what they were talking about with that red thing. But it's all good. So we have them all installed now. So in the directions here, it shows you that you have to, on on this one here that you have to loosen a screw right there, and then there's one right there, and you're going to move it to each of the four corners. Now, what they don't tell you, and it looks like it's the front, this is actually on the back of your tool head. So we're going to go ahead and locate those two screws. We're going to loosen these. Might need the other tool, the smaller one. I think this is for the smaller one. We can go ahead and put these in here and see. Yep, that's what it is. So we're going to turn these kind of counterclockwise. There we go. And both of these, it's not the regular screws that you can see. There's two holes in the back. And you're going to use this tool here, the hex key. Just stick it in there until it engages. Then you give it about 1.5 or so turns. And what it tells you then is to go ahead and do this across like this. There we go. Bring it forward so that you're hitting all four of those corners. And then you can go ahead and tighten those again. Why they want you to do that, I have no idea. But that's what it says to do, so that's what we're going to do. So with those tool heads, you have these tool head cables that it came with. And what we're going to do is, remember those things in the beginning that I didn't know what they were, these things? And we're going to go ahead and, looks like we are going to install the tool head cable into the tool head. And then we're going to take two of the screws that it comes with, and we are going to screw those down for each one of these tool heads. And there's 4 spots here for these to go in. So we're going to go ahead and do that. So now that we have all of these in place, and by the way, these little plastic things, I thought that they were to hold the cable as cable management. These are actually going to be used for the filament guides. Whenever we install those, they'll come in from those 1 and 2s, 3s, and 4s that we have. The back ends of those run up and over and down through here and into the little holes feeders that we have here. What we're going to do with these, though, is we are going to attach these to the tool head itself. Make sure that they're untangled. And where this little hole is here, they will fit right in there. Again, kind of USB-C. We're going to take the ST 2.6. There should be 10 of those screws in this bag. We're going to put them in the fronts. There's little cutouts here, little ovals that the other end of the cable will fit in. So you're just going to take those, you're going to insert them until they're seated, and then you can use these screws here, the ST 2.6, and go ahead and screw those in on each side. And we're going to do that for all 4 of these. Now that we have all of these cords securely in place, just give them a little, wiggle and a little tug to make sure that everything is in place. It looks kind of a mess, and that's okay. These are designed so that whenever the tool head picks it up, that you have enough cord to stretch this out. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to take our bigger pieces of this guide for our filament, and we are going to put them down in here so that they seat in here and then also in top of each of the tool heads. So we're going to go ahead and insert these. They should just go right down inside here. There's a little hole right down there in the back, and we can just take and insert that into there. There we go. And snap those in place, and then take this, make sure that your cords from your other ones are out of the way, and we will snap those in. So be careful. You saw that it kind of came off there. You want to make sure that whenever you press these in, that while it's stable, you also want to make sure that you're not accidentally removing the tool head from its position. So again, just give each of those a little bit of a tug there. They gave us 5 of these, and they do arch up and over. There we go. Again, make sure that you're not, getting the cord in the middle of that. You definitely don't want that. This is a fairly easy step. Just push in and making sure that the tool head stays in there, push in. Again, give these a little tug, put them into these holders that are here. There's little snap pieces in the top. Give all of that a little tug, and then we can move on to the next step. We have some filament tube and tool head cable so that these aren't going to be just dangling out here like this, right? These are going to be kind of tied into these pieces so that they're much more manageable. And we do have some of those pieces here. It came with our kit. Here we go. It was up underneath the our little scraper knife here. So you have to pick that up. And they come in again, a little plastic bag that looks like this. It says clips. So we're just going to go ahead and clip these on. You don't have to tie anything in or anything like that. You have, they look something like this. And you can see here. So you're going to take your top one. I would start with the top, insert your cable, and then the bigger side is for your filament guide there. Those little plastic filament guides that we have. So there's 3 for each. You're gonna do one in the back here. Again, same thing. Take the smaller end and clip it on the cable, and the larger end goes on the filament piece. And same thing here. You can do this. There we go. There are little snaps there, so you can feel that little snap there. Kind of get them arranged. And you just go across and you do that for each one of these. The last piece that you want to do is you want to plug this in. This goes in the back, and then just plug it into your outlet, just like any other machine would. Once you've done that, you have to download the app, and we'll show you how to do that, as well as the software to get everything all connected. And then we can start doing our test print. So the next thing that we have to do is we have to start the U1. And on the front panel, as you can see here, this will light up. And you're just going to go through the menus here. The first thing it asks you is your language, and it defaults to Chinese. Just make sure that you hit English if that is your preferred language. And then we can move and hit global, and then next. And then it's going to ask you to review and agree to the terms. There's a little checkbox down there at the bottom that you have to utilize. So we'll check that, and then we'll go ahead and click on next. And this is going to go ahead and set up. We can now look at our networks here and input those. And once you're here, you can go ahead and input your password for your Wi-Fi network. We can go ahead and click next. It'll go ahead and connect to your Wi-Fi network. And we can go ahead and click connect now. Now we can go ahead and scan that QR code. That's going to log us in and bind us to the app that we have on our phone. Once we get that set up and you bind your printer to the app, we can go ahead and now start the setup for the machine. Now, what this is going to do, it will perform a multi-tool tool head offset calibration, heated bed leveling, and vibration compensation. We just go ahead on the screen here and print start or push start. And this will go ahead and start all of those calibrations to make sure everything is set up correctly. And it knows where home is and everything like that. Now, this doesn't come with a cover. There is a cover that's going to be shipping later, but you can hear how loud it is. It's not very loud, even with the cover off. That's not very loud in comparison to something like the Bamboo Lab P1S that's fully enclosed. It's not too bad considering that the top is off and I have the door open. So if you're in a small office or a small space and you're working with this, it's not going to drown you out or anything. It's very manageable and very tolerable. It's now going to do a calibration on the bed. You have to make sure that the PEI sheet
is removed because there is a dimple in the back left corner that it's going to use to help calibrate where the tool head should be. It does this after with the fourth one, and then it comes and picks up the first one, and it's going to look for that dimple again. This is the dimple that I'm talking about right there. It'll do this for each one of the tool heads. We're now moving to tool head number 2, and then it'll move to tool head number 3. Once it's done with that calibration, you'll be prompted to put the PEI sheet back in. Now, on the bed, there are two nubs in the back, and there's a V slot where the PEI sheet will fit into those little nubs that are in the back. There's two little V's back there. So it makes it fairly easy to just slide this in as long as it's hitting those nubs and those V's, and you know that you have it in the right spot. Once we've done that on the front panel, we can go ahead and click our next, and then we get to the heated bed leveling. So it comes all the way to the front left corner, and it will do a little bit of a vibration, and then it will test to make sure that it is level with this first tool head. By the way, we're on step 2 of 3 of the device calibration. Once it completes that test, it's now going to complete a vibration compensation. This is part 3 of the device calibration. It's shaking the tool head. I don't know if you can see that, but it's shaking it back and forth very rapidly at higher frequencies, just to test to make sure that the vibrations are not going to be an issue. This takes approximately 4 minutes to complete. Now that the calibration is complete, we can see here on our display screen that it says calibration is complete. We have 3 green marks, and we can go ahead and click next. It'll say the filament loading procedure will be completed in approximately 5 minutes. So we will need to load up some filament on each side here, 1, 2, 3, and 4. If we look on 3 and 4, it doesn't tell you which way that you need to load it. If the filament needs to come around this way or if it comes around this way, doesn't really matter. These are free spinning. These are not motorized. So what it's doing is it's just taking the filament feeders and using those to pull these around. So it doesn't really matter. However, I would recommend for 1 and 3 that you load them so they're coming this way into, and with 2 and 4, the same thing. You can either load them front or back. That's entirely up to you. But with 1 and 3, I do recommend that you load it so that it comes around through the front and into the filament feeder. It does come with filament. It comes with 4 filaments. It comes with red, white, yellow, and black. So these are the filaments that we're going to go ahead and load in here, even though we have other filaments that we generally use. But we can go ahead and load these in because this is what it's expecting. On the screen, it'll tell you exactly what to do and how to load it so that it will load the filaments for us. The feeder has a little light next to the one between the black and the white that we see here. See how it has black and white? There will be a little light on the side over here that will light up and tell you that that one's being fed in. And as long as that light is there, that's good. It's kind of hard to see, but it'll feed the filament all the way through those tubes that we installed in the back, up through here and down almost to where it feeds into the tool head. Mine stopped right about there. So you have approximately this much that it did not feed in yet. We're going to go ahead and load the rest of these in the order that they were in the box. So 1 is red, 2 will be white, 3 will be yellow, and 4 will be black. I'm not too sure if it really makes any difference, to be honest with you, but that's the order that they put them in the box. And even on your screen, it shows that it's loading the red filament. So we put that in 1. 2 things about loading in the filament. You can see here how it's hooked in here. Sometimes that'll put a kink in the filament. You want to make sure that you cut those off so that it can load in there completely. The other thing is inside here is the desiccant. Make sure that you remove that or else it won't fit on the spindles. And whenever you're loading this, make sure that the filament is all the way to the left, or make sure it's all the way on. So you can see here these little rubber pieces here. Make sure that those are gripping onto your filament so that it will stay on there and then it doesn't fall off whenever it is feeding the filament through. Once you have all your filament loaded, here on the screen we'll get 4 green check marks here, and then we can go ahead and click next. And that's it. The printer is ready. You can go ahead and go over to the software and start setting that up. Just make sure that whatever computer that you're using with the software is on the same Wi-Fi network that your Snapmaker U1 is on as well, that you set up earlier. So now that we have this set up and it's starting its initial print, so we can see how that is. Some of the things that I found is, while it does have a full color setup guide, the instructions themselves are a little bit confusing and lacking. The pictures are very nice. However, sometimes you can't tell if you're looking at the front or the back of what they are showing you in the picture, and it gets a little bit confusing. The other problem that I had was whenever I was binding the app to the actual machine itself, down at the bottom, or one of the very last steps, whenever you're binding, is you have to agree to their terms and services and their privacy policy. The problem is that you can't click the check mark next to that you agree to it, or the bind button down at the bottom, unless you have brought up those terms and services and the privacy policy. Now, that's not the problem. The problem is they don't tell you that you have to do that. So it's very confusing, and I thought that there was a problem with my phone, or the screen had frozen or something. It was a little bit frustrating. I just accidentally clicked on those terms and services and brought those up, and I thought, well, we might as well bring up the privacy policy as well. And at that point, I was able then to press on the checkbox and get that to state that I agree to those policies, and then the bind button did appear. It's a little bit confusing, a little bit frustrating, especially if you potentially have an older phone that may lock up sometimes or something like that. The other issue that I had, while this was a fairly easy setup with the machine, it only took about an hour and a half. Most of that time was taken up by using the terrible little wrenches that they give you. They're kind of like little Allen wrenches. They are small or thin, and it doesn't make it easy to turn those screws in some of those tight spots that you have to put them in. Those are for the cables. That actually is what took me the longest, using those awful little Allen wrenches that they give you. A tip to Snapmaker: create a screwdriver. That would make things so much easier. It would give people something to grip. With those Allen wrenches, it was digging into my thumb as I made those turns. The other thing is that the bag for the M2.5 screws says that there are 16 in that bag. It very clearly states that M2.5 times 16, meaning that there should be 16 in there. There were 9. However, you only need 8 of them. So it's a little confusing. I don't know why they would give you 16. I understand why they would give you 9, but they need to make that change to that bag so that it says 8 on there. Other than that, like I said, it only took about an hour and a half to finish this from start to finish, to where I could start making a print. And now I can go in and finish the setup with the binding and adding the device to the actual software itself. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. Let us know in the comments if there's anything that you would like to know about the Snapmaker U1, or anything else that you would like to see or for us to do.